Sabito, the man with the fox mask. Sakonji Urokodaki, strongest student before Tanjiro. A water-breathing badass, taken too soon. But what if Sabito didn't die in the Demon Slayer Corps' fated final selection trial? What does it mean for the balance of power in the demon-slaying world? What does it mean for events in the story? And most importantly, what does it mean for our young Tanjiro Kamado in his journey to save his sister from a life in the shadows? Let's explore the story until the events of the Mugen train arc. Disclaimer: spoilers ahead for the Demon Slayer manga as a whole. Giyu's journey is different. The first and largest shift doesn't start with Sabito, but with Giyu, and for two main reasons. Reason number one, with Sabito alive, the Giyu we know now wouldn't exist. Giyu Tomioka has always been a brooding, melancholy, quiet kid at school type character. But there's a darkness to that brooding that began after Sabito's death because of survivor's guilt. Giyu was saved from the brink of death by Sabito during the final selection, as were many people by the pure-hearted young water breather. So when Giyu left those woods and Sabito didn't, Giyu's heartbreak was life-changing. It left him living his entire life with a serious case of imposter syndrome. He believes everything he's achieved shouldn't belong to him, but to Sabito. If he had just been a little stronger, his friend wouldn't have to die. Well, this time he didn't, meaning none of that guilt exists in Giyu anymore. Now all that's left in him is a deep admiration for his friend and a desire to go stronger, if only to keep up. He'd still be quiet, but not sad anymore. Healthier, happier, not broken, and as it turns out, also not a Hashira. This brings us to reason number two. Giyu wouldn't be the water Hashira, at least not yet. Sabito would rise to the mantle first and hold it for a good while before Giyu does. Of course, all it takes are 50 demon heads or a 12 Kazuki under your belt to become a Hashira, so rest assured that Giyu will get there eventually. But first, the story. Tanjiro discovering his family and Nezuko. An itty-bitty Tanjiro comes home to see his family murdered by demons, all except his sister Nezuko, who's now herself a demon. Fighting ensues, tears fall, and just as Tanjiro begins to see recognition in his sister's face, a blue flash of steel comes blitzing in. Narrowly saving Nezuko, Tanjiro finds himself in the presence of the water Hashira, Sabito. With Sabito as water Hashira, the pillar would symbolize different aspects of water. Giyu embodied water's tranquility and subtle elusive power. Tanjiro embodied water's adaptability, redirecting attacks and flowing between styles. Sabito would represent water's vitality. He was kind yet harsh, focused yet strong-willed, with a powerful sense of justice. This embodies water's nurturing yet formidable nature. Water grants life, from gentle rains to raging rapids. It carries the determination onwards. As a hero, Sabito would want to save lives. His water breathing would focus on water's life-giving energy, which is just another reason why element-based power systems lend themselves well to fantasy. There are infinite characters in each element. In any case, Sabito's style is moving relentlessly forward, filled with vitality, against all odds, never stopping until the target is either put to rest or returned to its natural state. Much like flowing water always finds a way. Sabito admires Tanjiro's determination to save Nezuko, but sees it as naive. Like Giyu, he believes demons and humans can't coexist. Demons will always be monsters. Such is the way of the world. He tries knocking sense into Tanjiro, refusing to listen to his ramblings, but then Nezuko protects Tanjiro, surprising Sabito. He tests them further by attacking, then realizes they protect each other. This completely throws Sabito's worldview upside down. And either way, there's nothing Sabito respects more than a will to protect others. Convinced, Sabito takes them to train under Urokodaki as demon slayers who must also protect the weak. The training is uneventful. With no Ghost Sabito, it just takes Tanjiro longer to split the boulder. He breezes through the final selection. Mount Nagatumo arc. While the lower ranks of the Demon Slayer Corps tangle somewhat helplessly with the spider demons, Tanjiro and Nezuko battle Rui. And one glorious Hinokami Kagura later, Tanjiro is sadly stuck in hot water at death's door. That is, until our boy Sabito arrives, in style, with his powerful Sugoku, Giyu. Of course, Mr. Tomioka isn't a Hashira, but he's no slouch either, kicking ass with his powerful breathing techniques. Giyu fights the father spider demon and wins with ease, saving a roaring Inosuke while Sabito swiftly takes care of Rui with a new water-breathing 11th form. It's not dead calm, because Giyu hasn't invented that yet, but instead something completely different, with just as much power packed behind it. Something that captures life, energy, and change. What would it be called? Overflowing scale? 10,000 rivers of purification? Natural harmony? So, Rui dies, leaving only one demon left at the scene, Nezuko, who is immediately chased by Shinobu and Kanao. But just as quickly as they give chase, they are blocked by a figure, Giyu Tomioka, on instructions from Sabito. Being Sabito's homie, Giyu likely knows all about the young Kamado siblings and their supernatural relationship. And knowing Giyu, he'd be just as quick to accept it now as he did in the original timeline. But for all his familiarity, this is the first time he's actually meeting the two. And it also turns out to be the first time meeting Shinobu Kocho in person, at least up close, and not sneaking glances at her while she's talking to Sabito. Shame that their first interaction was with blades raised. But no harm done. The situation is explained, Shinobu cautiously agrees, and she and Giyu actually hit it off pretty well. Except this time, Giyu, without his repressed feelings of guilt and sadness, is actually capable of expressing his emotions healthily, which means, well, talking back. So in this timeline, it's possible that Giyu and Shinobu actually get to have some sort of relationship. Maybe they'll be just friends, maybe something more. Who knows? That's for later. Hashira meeting. Next up is the first Hashira meeting, where we get to say hi to our colorful group of supernatural swordsmen and women. This scene plays out pretty much the same, with headbutts, bows, and a less than dignified discussion on whether or not to kill the sleeping demon girl in the box. And filling his dutiful role as Fox-masked guardian, Sabito stakes his life on Nezuko's will. He convinces the other Hashira to look for a cure rather than prevention, and let the girl live while they seek to remove the demon curse from the world, as long as she doesn't eat another human. So they agree. And until then, Tanjiro and Ko get to train and recover under the caring wing of Shinobu in her mansion. And boom, it's training arc part 2. While Tanjiro gets stronger, so does another person. During the events of the training arc, Giyu finally reaches the rank of Hashira under Sabito's guidance, slaying his 50th demon. This means for the first time in history, there are 2 masters of the breath of water, twin blades, swirling like currents. So that's very exciting. And of course, this excess Hashira manpower frees up more of the pillars to embark on more esoteric missions. Which works out, because it just so happens that there's one such train-related mission coming right up, the Mugen train. At the Hashira meeting, Rengoku volunteers for the mission, but as an afterthought, he suggests something else. That this will be a good time to field test the new Demon Slayer prospects and their demonic counterpart. And who better to watch over them as well but Rengoku's good friend and trusted ally, Sabito. Ever the protector, Sabito would agree. And just like that, Giyu would take over Sabito's home turf duties, just like old times. While the Mugen train squad has a new deadly addition to their team. The presence of 2 Hashiras are a huge boost in power for Team Demon Slayer, meaning the events of Mugen Train go way smoother than usual. Not a single person would be even injured, let alone killed, with 2 Hashiras assisting the young Beast, Thunder, and Sun users in keeping the carriages safe. Nezuko gets her chance to prove herself. The train derails. Sabito helps Tanjiro take down Enmu scarily fast, though Sabito still lets Tanjiro get the final blow in. What can he say? He is still a teacher after all. So the squad tend to the traumatized passengers. This time, Team Tanjiro is more or less completely fine. A few scrapes, but definitely no life-threatening stabs, which leaves them fresh and ready for the real fight, Akaza. By the time the Upper Moon 3 arrives, so much time would have passed that all the civilians would have been safely evacuated. The train is secured, and Squad Tanjiro is chilling by the side, slurping down some bento, more or less fully healed. Now this poor demon has to deal with not just 3 brats, but 2 immensely powerful Hashiras. He senses their fighting spirit, gets all the pre-fight heebie-jeebies, and says the famous lines, "Become a demon, Rengoku." And you too, I guess, Sabito. The offer is politely declined with a burning, scalding series of slashes, and the 3 gear up for one hell of a battle. Ufotable cracks its knuckles and spits absolute Sakuga heaven, as water and fire collide with destructive air as Squad Tanjiro can only watch in awe. Blow after blow, Akaza attempts to land any sort of killing blow on Rengoku, but keeps getting intersected by Sabito's raging slashes. Ever the protector as always, and Akaza is really beginning to dislike it. Finally, after battling until morning light, injured and panting, Akaza is forced to retreat, and he has a new nemesis burned in his brain, the one with the fox mask.